Hi everybody, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. It is the weekend, March 22nd. I hope everyone's having a good weekend so far. This, of course, is the weekend video. We'll take a look at what happened last week in the stock market, a few things unfolded, and then we'll take a look ahead. More importantly, see what we got coming up down the pike this week. So let's get down to it. All right, so as we always do, let's take a quick look back at the week that was. Markets did manage to snap that 4-week losing streak that we've been on, so they all ended higher on the week. As expected, when we got the Fed decision on Wednesday, they left rates unchanged, but indicated there would be a possibility of several rate cuts by the end of the year. Fed Powell also said he expected some inflation would tick back up again because of the tariffs, but felt that it would be transitory, which I think the markets took a lot of comfort in. Bearish note that happened this week. We got earnings from FedEx, Micron, and Nike. They all issued soft guidance numbers on their earnings calls. So that was sort of a theme, I think, that we are going to hear going forward. So there's where we finished on the Dow, Q, SPY, IWM, all up on the week. Energy continued to be a good performer last week. Financials were good. Real estate lost a little, but most of the sectors were up this week. 2-year and 10-year treasuries down a little bit from the previous week. Not a lot of move there. Dollar was up a little bit, and Bitcoin pretty much flat on the week. Didn't really change much at all. So that's the way we ended the week. So just taking a pause here, as always, like to do a quick plug for my books that are available on Amazon. Of course, this is a swing traded video, and these are some of the strategies that I use for swing trading. I cover in these 2 books, How to Swing Trade and Profiting as an Active Trader, so you can check those out. And also I've got an options trading book. My latest book came out and covers A to Z with options, and also some day trading options if you're interested, but swing trading, day trading, all the strategies that you can use to trade options. So they are available on Amazon in all 3 forms: hard copy, audio, and e-version. So check those out. And let's get back and take a look at some indexes. All right, so let's go through some of the indexes. And you'll notice that I have gone back to different charting systems, stock charts, trading terminal. They're making some changes there, so charting feature may not be available for some time now. So I'm going back to this other one's called stock charts. And you can see here, let's start out with the 2-year. You can see here we really fell off this week a little bit. This is the weekly, but a little bit down from previous week on the 2-year, and on the 10-year, a little bit down as well, but pretty much staying in a range there on the 2-year and 10-year treasury bonds. You can see the Dow, we had a nice move back up, V reversal on the Dow, so really stalling at this 200-day moving average here, but we have gotten above the 9 EMA, so looking a little more positive. You can see the stochastics in MACD about to turn positive there. So the Dow on a daily looking a little bit more bullish, and same with the weekly looking bullish as well here, as we did a bit of a turnaround, but some of these indicators are still heading lower on the Dow. As far as the Q goes, kind of same deal, although we are still well below this 200-day moving average. It gives us some opportunity to move higher. Again, some of these indicators are indicating that, or it may look like maybe we found a bit of a bottom here. Again, indicators on the weekly looking fairly positive as we continue to kind of hold this range where the sellers are not able to take the index lower. And so you can see here we had a big sell-off, a lot of this tariff related. We did come back up, and this week you can kind of see how we basically just churned here, 200-day becoming resistance, and we're just churning. So I think that it's kind of interesting setup, because every time they people started selling, they could not get the price to get back down to or the index back down to that low, which gives me a little bit of inclination that maybe the market is going to go turn and go higher next week. That's a SPY on the weekly looking a little positive there. And let's take a look here on the IWM. Same sort of deal here. We did a lot of churning, still well below the 200-day moving average, but again, seem to be putting in a bit of a higher low. So looking a little bit more bullish, I would say, going into next week. And this is another reason I kind of feel a little bullish here. We are starting to, we've come off some pretty significant highs on the VIX, the volatility index or fear gauge, and it's actually looking fairly positive. Dollar is starting to sort of creep up here, but still trading in a range. And that's a weekly, again, kind of finding some support there. And Bitcoin's trading around 84,200 again, sort of stuck in this range, and I think it's pretty much a risk asset. So if we have a risk on next week, we may get a move back up in Bitcoin as well. So that was your indexes in review. So just going through a few trades that I put on last week, later last week. Late in the week, and as I mentioned, I was kind of just sitting with on the swing trade side of things, kind of waiting for things to settle out here and set up. Sometimes no trade is the best trade. So I did take some long on Apple on Friday. I really had a nice move on Friday. I used options on this. I shorted the 215 calls, and now I'm short them. I already covered some as we went into the close last on Friday with a very strong close, and I'm still holding some, and I'm expecting this is going to be a move back up. Again, sort of a nice sort of double bottom, or if you want to call it a higher low on this pullback here. So Apple kind of looking interesting, although, there is some pretty significant resistance here at 220. So we'll see how it does on Monday, but holding some short some puts, which makes me long the calls, or long the stock, and you can read about that in my options trading book if you're curious about how to play options, because there's numerous ways to play both long and short. AMD, this was from my previous week's weekly video. I said I liked AMD. AMD was bottoming before everything else was. You can see here we had a big sell-off, but it really wasn't going lower. Observed that last week. And again, took it long here on last week, and it seems to be moving up nicely. And I think if we get some continuation here, this moving average at 110, and there is some area here, 115, where we're probably going to see some pretty significant resistance, but holding it for a bigger move. And that's kind of the only two trades that I had on, again, keeping it light last week because of the uncertainty and headline risk. All right, so let's take a look at what I'm looking at next week, and I think you can apply this to not just these stocks, but a lot of different stocks here. But I'm looking at some of the big names like Meta. Again, Meta seems to be putting in a bottom here, and I think it has some potential to go up. If you go with my thesis that I think we're going to get a rally next week. Meta had a huge day on Thursday, really rallied, but then pulled back hard. And then Friday we rallied back up again. So all of these indicators look like we're kind of bottoming here. So I think Meta has a good chance to go up, whether you want to play with options, maybe buy the 620s. For next week, or sell some downside options, 580s. You could sell puts and then maybe buy some puts below it to protect yourself if you wanted to do what they call a spread. So number of ways to play that one. Really like PLTR. PLTR again had a nice day on Friday. This was the prior high here. Looks like about 90.30. And as we went out, we went close to 91 on Friday. I think there's a good chance that we could move up close to 100, maybe 96 or 97 from here. I think it looks fairly positive, and stochastics and the MACD all turning up here, kind of gone a little bit positive on the RSI, giving us some momentum to the upside. And finally, Tesla. I think Tesla, again, putting in this double bottom here, had a good day again on Friday, like many stocks. And this 261 could be in play, this one moving average. And this gap fill here from at 276 optimistically. I mean, once Tesla gets going, it really starts to rip. And again, fundamentally, I don't see any reason to own this, and I definitely would not own it going into next week because they'll be coming out with their delivery numbers. I think they're really going to be horrible. That's just my feeling. But anyway, we're talking about a next week swing. So this looks like we may continue to go higher. And again, this prior high here could be resistance 251. So again, if we can get through that, I think 261 could be in play. So there's some 3 ideas for next week. And like I said, there all seem to be a lot of stocks that are sort of setting up with this same pattern. So pick your poison. So for all you people that have been watching me over the years here, I've decided to throw in a bit of a new slide just to sort of clarify where I think things might be going next week. So I hope you like this additional slide. So just in summary, we did get a lot of churn in a range last week, as I already spoke about in the review of the index charts. But as I said, sellers were not able to take the market lower. They weren't able to take back control. And obviously, when you get some churn, there's eventually some resolution. And I think that's going to be back up to the upside. So the other thing that happened, of course, that kind of makes me a little bit more bullish for next week, we did finish strong on Friday, and the VIX was dropping from its highs. So just be aware, PCE data coming out. That'll be the big news Friday, as I previously mentioned. But that's at the end of the week. And of course, the caveat to all this continues to be headline risk, which could take the market lower. But it would have to be something new. Tariffs are kind of old news. So let's take a look here at what the final slide. And there's your levels on the Dow, Q, SPY, and IWM. Economic events next week. Day traders, watch out for that consumer confidence, 10 a.m. on Tuesday. And obviously PCE data Friday 8:30 before the market opens. And consumer sentiment, again, something to be aware of if you're day trading. As far as earnings go, pretty light. We do have some interesting ones. We've got Chewy and Lulu, another big retail name like Nike. So we'll see what they say for their guidance. It'll be interesting to see if they repeat the same concerns that Nike had for their products going forward into the rest of the year. So that's it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this weekend review. And as I always say, we'll be starting a Bear Bull Trading Room 8 o'clock Monday morning with the pre-market show. And then, of course, trading the market open at 9:30. And you can join us live on YouTube and be there for the open with us. So take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you next week.